Welcome to the Q1 Buck Poll. I'm Tim Hart with Mike Big Buck Hoffner. Well, the hunting season is over, but there still is time to register your buck.
Yeah, it's officially ended, Tim. And where can they register those deer?
You can go to the Field and Stream Outdoor Life Deer and Turkey Expo in Lansing. It's at the Summit, which is actually located in Dimondale, February 22nd through the 24th. Get your deer registered there and you're in the contest. We got all kinds of great prizes. Our prize parties start January 24th in Coldwater. And if you go online, click on the prize parties, you'll see some of the updated times and dates and locations that I just posted.
I'll tell you what, it's Christmas after Christmas, Tim, because we give away a tremendous amount of prizes during our shows. So be there. Be one of those people that walk out with one of our guns, one of our bows. We've got a lot to give away.
On this week's show, we're going to feature Jeff Dickey. He has an 11-point and an 8-point. A couple of great stories. We've got the DNR director, Keith Cray, with us. We've got Hank, Hunter, and Tanner Swickey from Ohio. And they took some big bucks this year. Wait till you see them.
Obviously down in Ohio?
Well, yes, but we wanted to feature them because it kind of ties in with Tony LaPratt, Ultimate Land Management and the Whitetail Boot Camp. They have been managing a land just on the border of Michigan and Ohio and Indiana, right there in that little corner. They've been doing an awesome job, and the proof is in the pudding because they all came away with big deer this year.
I'll tell you what, Tony gives away some great secrets. I mean, if you paid attention to his segments that he shared with us here, there's no excuses. You can put your land together and you too can be shooting big bucks.
Today he's going to talk about what you should do now that the season is over. When should you prepare for next fall?
Well, I'm going to tell you, you don't wait 30 days or 60 days. You start immediately, because that's what you have to do. Is it's a year-round event if you expect to bag the biggest ones.
And of course, Mike Big Buck Hoffner will be featuring some bucks right here on the Q1 Buck Poll. Stay with us. We got more coming up. The Q1 Buck Poll is sponsored by these participating businesses who support the great outdoors in Michigan. Back here on the Q1 Buck Poll, we remind you to go to the Q1 Buck Poll website, q1buckpoll.com, where you can win a Manitoba whitetail hunt from lastminutehuntingandfishing.com, along with Grandview Outfitters. And I will tell you this, the guy that won the Saskatchewan hunt last year, great success, great time, and he sent us pictures. It was awesome.
And did they get to pick the time of season in which they got to go hunting?
He did. There's obviously a certain time up in Canada where you can go hunting, but he was able to set his dates. He took his dad, and it's something that you can do this year. So make sure you get registered. It's free.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'd pick the early season because I know it gets cold up in Canada.
It's cold in Michigan right now. All right, we got bucks here on the Q1 Buck Poll.
All right, Tim, let's start out with Jared Roper from Midland, Michigan, bringing in an 11-point buck. His score is 40 1/4. Chuck Goldie from Brown City with an 8-pointer. The score, 38.75. Francisco Garza from Saginaw, Michigan, brings in an 8-pointer. His score, 38.5. And Emily Carpenter from Clio, 10-pointer. The score, 37.
Just some of the bucks that are featured here on the show. Again, q1buckpoll.com. You can see all the deer that have been registered in the season so far. Now we're going to talk to Jeff Dickey. He had a great success this year. 2 bucks, an 11-point and an 8-point, and you talked to him, and he has a great story.
They pretty much ran together 90% of the season. I've never seen this one without this one. And, I seen him, I think October 3rd, I seen him running across the alfalfa field together. And that was pretty early, and I figured, they were gonna, I was gonna get a shot at them both, and I knew it was him. I'm like, oh, there he is, and I grabbed my bow and my arrow fell off my dang rest, and I put it back on there. I have a ripcord, and I grabbed my bow and I'm sitting there shaking the whole tree, because the tree wasn't that big, and the whole tree was pretty much shaking, and then it just all ended, and I drew back on this buck, and this buck came right up in there, and he was so close. It was a 13-yard shot, not even. I mean, there was a hill that was right next to me, and it was just one side I was 30 feet, 25, 30 feet in a tree, and the other side, that hill was so far up that I was pretty much even with it. And this buck came right up on top of that hill, and it was just me and him, man, and he didn't even know I was there. And perfect, got him with the Rage chisel tip right behind the shoulder. I heard him just go, and it was just so quiet, you could hear everything. He took off running. I seen him stop, and run again and stop and go again and then stop, and I'm like, he's down, and then right there he faded out, and it was done, and he was dead. And I just sitting up there celebrating and all that stuff, and I'm thinking, the other buck is gonna come. So I scrounge around, and it just so happened I look back, and there he is hitting a scrape on top of this. It was like an oak tree, I think, and he was hitting this scrape and getting on, and he was rubbing on the tree and everything like that. And I get out my bone collector call again, and I just grunted at him, and he just stood there and stared at me, like right towards me for like probably 5-10 minutes, and I'm just sitting there like, what's he gonna do, spook, or is he gonna run away, or all this stuff's going through my head, and I'm like, no way, this is happening right now. And he just comes down probably like 5 yards away, and then he turns around and he gets back up on the hill where I shot this one. Grabbed my bow out of my right hand because I just had it sitting there. I snapped a picture, threw it in there, and then, started my draw, and I drew back on him, and he seen me, and he looked right at me, and I kind of whispered something, but I can't say that on film, and I just kind of said it in a normal tone, and he was pretty close. I knew he didn't have a chance, so I stuck him, and he dropped my arrow, and I ended up spining this one, and it was good left and right, but I mean, I was so close. My bow's pretty quick, and he just dropped right there, and I ended up, having to get down, and I took another arrow to him. But yeah, I took them both the same day within 15 minutes apart, and I seen these two bucks for, like I said, a long time, and I had no idea I was going to get them both the same day, same time. I was thinking I was going to get this one and then hunt for this one, but it all happened.
We're fortunate to live in the great state of Michigan with millions of acres of recreational land, 11,000 inland lakes, and for a lot of people, it's a dream come true to own their own piece of property. Today I've got Randy Steck with us. He's a Senior Vice President of Sales and Customer Relations at Greenstone Farm Credit Services. Randy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tim.
Now, Greenstone has been a proud sponsor of the Q1 Buck Poll for a number of years, and you've really helped thousands of Michigan residents own a piece of recreational land.
Yes, we have provided financing for thousands of folks across the state, and we are very happy to be part of that dream building process.
And Greenstone has a number of outdoor enthusiasts on staff, but you also have locations all over the state too.
Yes, our 31 offices are conveniently located to the bulk of the customers that we do business with, and we encourage those folks to stop in and talk to us. We share a lot of the same values and beliefs that the outdoors community has, and many of our staff actually enjoy the same activities.
Randy, there's a lot of different programs too, aren't there?
Yes, we can provide financing for up to 30 years and a fixed rate of interest for as little as 20% down.
Well, Randy, when we were talking outside, you talked about loans as long as 30 years, as little as 20% down. You've got all different types of programs, but what sets Greenstone apart?
Really, it's the people that work here at Greenstone and the solutions that we can provide to folks and helping them with their dream purchase. And whether it's, a lot of these customers have not had a lot of experience in purchasing real estate or dealing with a lender, so we can walk them through that process and really provide a lot of value, expertise and advice to help folks through that process.
And if I want to learn more and get more information?
You can check us out on the web, give us a call, or stop by any one of our 31 offices throughout the state of Michigan.
And he talks about the 31 offices. That's 31 locations where you can register your buck or doe in the Q1 Buck Poll. They can take care of you. Randy, thanks for being with us.
You're welcome.
All right, Randy Steck's been with us from Greenstone Farm Credit Services. I'm Tim Hart, and you're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. One of the many prizes that we're giving away is this Dart and Terminator crossbow, brand new. It's got a scope. It's all set and ready for you to take out in the woods and get tuned up for next fall.
I'll tell you what, you take this out, great name, the Terminator, you can terminate your deer.
All right, and for people that terminated deer this year, here's Big Buck Hoffner with this week's list.
All right, let's start out with Mackenzie Hatter from Big Rapids, bringing in a 12-pointer. The score, 47 3/4. Oscar Ortiz from Kalamazoo brought in an 11-point buck. The score, 47 3/4. And Nick Harp from Charlotte, bringing in a 10-point buck. The score, 49 1/2.
We always try to bring you information here on the Q1 Buck Poll, and one of our partners, as always, is the Department of Natural Resources. I had a chance to talk to Keith Cray. He's the new director, and you know, he's a lifelong person who's been out in the woods. He fishes a lot. Somebody who knows about the outdoors, and I think is going to do the right thing for what we're doing, and that is hunting in the woods.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they've been great all season long. They respect the outdoors. They've brought us a lot of great informational sessions. So let's take it on with Keith.
I'm now talking to the director of the DNR, Keith Cray. Keith, welcome to the show.
Tim, thanks for having me.
All right, well, welcome. You're the new director here, and I know that you have a background of being out there and hunting and fishing. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, Tim, actually, I tell people that when I graduated from college, my dream job would have been working for the Department of Natural Resources. So I've really come full circle. I spent a career at the Michigan Department of Agriculture. I actually grew up hunting and fishing. I did the Boy Scout stuff. I didn't do FFA. Ended up being Eagle Scout. I've been hunting since I've been 10. My dad still's alive. We still go to deer camp, and we have a lot of fun at it.
All right, so what is, some people are going to say, well, he's an ag guy. So what's an ag guy doing running the DNR, and what are some of the plans here?
Well, it's really all about land management and landscape management. And so when I was at ag, we actually we interfaced with DNR quite a bit, right? Whether it was TB and deer, whether it's pheasant restoration, whether it's environmental practices. So if you talk about maintaining the land, it doesn't matter if it's state land or private land. It's really a lot of the same issues.
Mm-hmm. Do you have some short-term goals or long-term? What's your plan?
Well, actually, it's a great agency. We got great professionals, and there's a couple of things that we need to do. We need to pay attention to the 4.6 million acres we own. Mm-hmm. Governor asked an easy question. Is that the right number of acres to own? What's the purpose of it, not just the quantity? So we'll do a comprehensive land use plan with our stakeholders and see if we can get that right. Two is we need to have outstanding customer service. You know, the antlerless permits crashed the other day because of technology. That's not acceptable. We need to work on our technology. We need to work on customer service. Three is we got to look at our funding streams. For too long, the sportsmen and women of this state have really bared the brunt of all the natural resources issues. So we need to broaden that a little bit, and we'll work with our friends in the legislature and our stakeholders to do that. And then last is, because of our outstanding staff locally, we can do a little better job making local decisions. You know, it takes a long time to push paper up into Lansing and get it back. And so if you trust your employees, you'll get good decisions.
And it seems like in all the interviews that we've done, you know, you've got good people out in the field that their whole concern is about, you know, managing the resources that are out there.
Right. We have passionate, knowledgeable individuals. And as I've traveled around the state, and I've been in UP, I've been to Southeast Michigan, and so I've been out a lot in my first 10 weeks. And everyone has the same statements. They'd like to have their local DNR person involved, but they're not real happy with the DNR at time.
Right.
And that's really more process than product. So we'll see if we can't get it right.
Well, don't you think that comes from people, you know, that have grown up like yourself, hunting and fishing, and they have a strong opinion about how they want to see things managed, and that's kind of where the deer advisory groups come in, so reaching out to the hunters out there?
Oh, absolutely. We have great stakeholders. They're very passionate about what they do, and they're knowledgeable about the resource, so we need to engage them fully as we move ahead. However, I'd like to suggest that we need to speak with one voice. And because of the variations in the resource, we have a lot of different voices. And so we could be more successful by speaking with one voice. And so we'll try to do that. But I did meet with the Conservation Coalition, and we'll work on that message.
Would you say that the biggest significant challenge would be funding, or are there other issues?
Actually, good program, good policy funding follows that. So we've had it backwards. We've been asking for potentially some funding changes without necessarily being very articulate with what that will accomplish. As the governor talks about regional economies, what better than natural resources to drive regional economies, whether it's hunting, fishing, tourism, recreation, land-based industries, forestry, mining, oil and gas. I mean, the Department of Natural Resources plays a crucial and fundamental role, especially in the rural areas, to keeping towns alive. And so let's figure out how we can drive those regional economies in a sustainable, thoughtful manner. And let's be at the table.
In the meantime, you know, the push is, even if you don't hunt or fish, go out and buy a license because that helps fund things.
Well, I'd go one step further. Buy a passport. So the Rec Passport's a great program. It's $10 when you renew your license. Get a recreation passport, whether you're going to use a state access site or not. Whether you kayak, whether you hike, whether you're watching birds, or whether you're hunting and fishing. If you get a recreation passport, that helps this department tremendously.
And finally, communicating with the hunters out there. I know that you guys are doing a lot with, your websites and, getting the information out. Are there other issues other ways that you're doing that too?
Well, we're going to partner with people like the Buck Poll to make sure we tell first a true and accurate story. But second is, my kids, they all have iPhones. And when you're in an area, you like to click on that icon and you'd like to know where are the boat launches, where are the wineries, where are the cross-country ski trails, where are the access points, and oh, by the way, where's that good grouse habitat that we can go out now go hunting since it's after the 15th, right?
That's exactly right. That is right. Now, one final
I don't want to give away your secrets.
One final thing on this before we go. So you grew up hunting and fishing. You said you still go to deer camp. So do you get out into the woods as often as you'd like?
No one ever does, but that's also part of it. It's good to leave the woods wanting to go back, isn't it?
Yes, it
and
is.
so part of it is I do try to get out as much as I can. This job actually, though, you're a little bit busier, so during hunting season, sometimes you're visiting hunting camps instead of visiting your blind, so we'll try to balance that.
All right, well, thanks for being with us here today.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Director of the DNR, Keith Cray, has been our guest. That's your DNR update. I'm Tim Hart, and you're watching the Q1 Buck Poll. Don't forget to go online, q1buckpoll.com, see the bucks, enter to win the Manitoba Whitetail Hunt. We're going to be giving that away March the 2nd at the Soaring Eagle. And the Soaring Eagle sent me an email. Rooms one night on Saturday, March 2nd are $109, but you got to let them know you're with the Q1 Buck Poll.
I'll tell you what, it's a great party, great fun, and entertainment after we're done with the Buck Poll party.
Exactly right. Exactly
We
right.
get to watch Tim lose money.
Well, maybe not this year. All right. We got some more bucks here with Buck Hoffner.
All right, let's start out with Lauren Martin from Kalamazoo, bringing an 8-pointer. The score, 39.88. Nathan Moore from Warren, Michigan, brings in an 8-pointer. The score, 35.5. And Caleb Brining from Jackson, Michigan, brings in an 8-pointer. The score is 32.
One of the things we always like to promote too is families going to the outdoors. Here's the Swicky family from Gaylord talking about their successful hunts this year. Well, we're talking about a family tradition of hunting right now here on the Q1 Buck Poll. We've got Hank and we've got Hunter and Tanner Sawicki. They're from Gaylord. And Hank, great success this year. You take the boys out and you guys all go hunting, and it's always nice to see when somebody can bring back one big deer. But you guys got 3 big deer this year. Great season, I take it?
Oh, yeah, we got 3 amazing deer. I mean, heck, look at these things.
All right, Hunter, is this your biggest deer ever?
Yeah, biggest deer ever is 179, 11 point.
All right, tell me about the hunt real quick.
Came in about 100 yards and I shot it. He was chasing a doe. He walked around and I guess I hit him kind of far back the first time, and I shot him again and ran about 10 yards and dropped.
All right, so didn't have to track him that far at all then?
No.
All right, now Tanner, how about your deer? Tell me about your hunt.
My dad, he woke me up because I was sleeping. And
You mean you were sleeping in the blind, in the tree stand, or where?
I was in a blind, in a chair, and he woke me up, and he's like, Tanner's buck coming. Walked in the bait pile, and he's probably 45 yards away. Shot him, and he went probably 200 yards. And we tracked him and found him. It's the biggest buck I've ever shot.
And what did you think when you first saw the deer before you shot?
Well, I knew he was a nice buck, so wanted to get him.
All right, and what did you shoot him with?
I shot him with the muzzleloader.
All right, how about you, Hunter?
20 gauge. Slow.
20 gauge?
Yeah.
And Dad, what'd you use this year, crossbow?
Yeah, I shot him with a crossbow, yeah.
All right, so 3 different ways of harvesting deer this year. We appreciate the family being here. Hank, not only do you guys hunt, but then your dad, and this is really a family tradition. Tell me about it.
Yeah, my dad comes down with us, and we all go hunting together, and we got a couple good friends, Tony LaPratt and Chris Pearson, and they go hunting with us, so we've all harvested really nice bucks like this year. It's fun to get together with the kids and see everybody take a buck and have a good time.
It's exciting, really sharing a passion like this with your kids, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and they have a passion. I mean, these guys are getting up at 3:30 in the morning, and they're walking into their stands an hour and a half, 2 hours before daylight, and they're sitting all day, and they're not getting out of the stands. They're hunting really hard, and I mean, when you got a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old shooting bucks like this, this is what Ultimate Land Management can do for you, man.
Well, obviously, great success for the Swicky family. How did they learn that success? From Tony LaPrette. He's going to talk now about what you should do about getting ready for next year's season. Now talk with Tony LaPrette about what you should do after the season. Is it okay to go in the woods and kind of scout things out?
Well, right after the season, you must find where that big buck made it through the hunting season. What you want to do is find out that secret hiding spot. So right after the season, I like to go out and find where that buck hid. Now, when you go out there, a lot of times you'll hear him get out of the swamp or a thicket. You want to make notes. You want to go in and document where he's at, figure out how he's coming and going. At this time, his trails sneaking in and out of his safe area will show up great. In September and August, you're scouting, you can't find these trails, and a lot of times he's not in this bedding area at this time because he only goes there when the pressure's on. So go in there, document it, but do not return. You got a one-shot time to go in there and figure it all out. Now, when it gets springtime and it starts warming up nice, just about when it starts to green up a little bit, go back in, put your stands up, get everything ready for hunting season, and just back off and leave it alone. You'll catch him off guard, and that's how you kill big bucks.
Tony, would you put up a trail cam in that area?
I would not put a camera in it. These big bucks are smart. A lot of guys have to see a picture. Now, let me explain something. Everybody's different, but I'm a guy that used to fox trap. I caught 88 fox the last year I trapped. You know how many fox I seen that year running around that wasn't in a trap? 0. I learned a long time ago you don't need to see the animal, you just need the signs. So what you want to do is I just need to see the big buck rubs, the big tracks, droppings, etc. Now some people need the picture, but don't put a picture in his sanctuary. You put that on the outside edge by a food plot, where maybe he gets a drink, but not inside his core area. It's too sensitive an area.
All right, so get out and do some scouting here coming up. But again, make sure you only do it once. Tony, thanks for being with us as always. All right, for Mike Big Buck Hoffner, I'm Tim Hart. Thanks for watching this week's edition of the Q1 Buck Poll. Remember, anytime you're out in the woods, be safe. Gosh, that is just awesome.
I'm ready to go, man.
Just awesome.
Got to trim a few pounds.
I see that.